Bitcoin gets down to this kind of 20% level, every time it's got here over the last, well, since Bitcoin started, it's basically done something between a 70 and 200% rally. And Solana's version of that is volatility down at 50%. Every time it gets there, it has a huge rally. So it feels like it's so close.
Yeah.
It bounced, Solana bounced off that lovely wedge pattern, came off the bottom. Today's a bit weak in Solana, no real reason. And it just feels like the next move is, the ripening of the bananas.
Raoul Pal, founder and CEO of Real Vision, is forecasting significant rallies for Bitcoin and Solana in the near future. In a recent podcast, Pal discussed his optimistic outlook for these digital assets, based on their historical performance. He pointed out that Bitcoin has shown a consistent pattern. Each time its volatility drops to around 20%, it tends to rally substantially, often achieving gains between 70% and 200%. This indicates that periods of low volatility are precursors to strong upward movements. Pal also identified a similar behavior in Solana. He noted that when Solana's volatility reduces to about 50%, it generally experiences a major rally. These observations of recurring patterns in both Bitcoin and Solana support Pal's positive predictions for their future performance. Make sure to watch this next clip where Raoul outlines his view on the current state of the market. Also, only a small number of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy listening to crypto-related content, please consider liking and subscribing to this channel by following the link in my bio. And get access to my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox. It only takes a moment and you can always change your mind later. Now back over to Raoul Pal.
I think we finished the consolidation period. It's very typical around the halving time, the election cycle. It usually does this and usually finishes in July, maybe August. We also, don't forget, if you look at FedNet liquidity, it collapses into the end of every quarter. So that's as people the banks window dress their balance sheets. So we saw FedNet liquidity come off very sharply. Today should be the last day, and then it gets rebuilt again. So whether that affects assets as well, even though it's quite well flagged in advance, possible. But overall, I think the price structure of what everything looks like, it looks like we hit the base. Solana, I'm looking at the chart. Solana in April, we came down to just below 120, came to 118. We then rallied up, back down, formed this wedge, perfect pattern. My guess is we just go up from here. I wrote about this in Global Macro Investor a couple of months ago. My view here is the same as Arthur's, who's also a GMI subscriber, but I think we're being set up by the BOJ for a nice spectacular bit of shenanigans. BOJ are very clever at what they do. They've been manipulating FX markets forever, and everybody loses money trying to fight them. My guess is they're sucking in the last positioning now. Chinese need money too. The Japanese banks are the Eurodollar market. They're the largest participants in the Eurodollar market now. They're short of dollars, which was the point.
Yeah.
Somewhere, the US is going to give them infinite line to be able to intervene. And that will flow back through the banks, both into treasuries and also to China, who desperately need the dollars. And the Fed don't want to give them a direct liquidity line. So if there's a source of instant shocking liquidity that can come, the most perfect setup would be the Fed cut, Japanese intervene. That would just nuke everybody. And I've seen the Japanese do this many times before, and they tend to do it with the approval of the Fed, because that way you get bang for your buck. We know that Yellen's been in China twice. So, Yellen is the world's biggest bond salesman, well, junk bond salesman. She's the Mike Milken of the era. She used to sell those bonds, and the Chinese are saying, we ain't got no dollars to buy your bonds with. It's a really simple equation. And it's like, okay, let's figure this out. How can we get you dollars so you can allow your property developers and everybody else to pay their dollar interest debts, and you can recycle it into treasuries? And I think it's via Japan. Generally speaking, the market's fixated in dollar yen's going to 200, 300. Oh my God, it's collapsing. They've lost control. Okay, so that's where the current narrative is. And people expect intervention at some point soon. They're waiting for it. It's really going to be about the size of intervention, because if they go big, it shows they've got the backing. And then you'll see it, whether it's versus the foreign central bank reverse repo or via the swap lines or whatever the mechanism is. Yep. Don't forget, a lot of the time they try and hide the mechanisms as well.
That's what I mean.
So It's really the size that they go in.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to access my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox.